And you're over there a lot. Were you there when they found the particle?
I was not there when they found the particle. I was there for 2 years between 2009 for 1 year between 2009 2010. I've been there other years previously.
Right. You worked a lot when they were first getting it going.
I worked on a previous experiment actually.
Okay.
But I've been stationed at UVU since then and just making small visits. But this experiment is such that the physicists are all over the world, and it's a routine thing to communicate by computer and have our meetings without actually going there.
That's excellent. Well, tell me, a lot of people are like, oh, it's the God particle. This is the thing that we're going to figure out all of creation. There's not quite that level of excitement, right? I mean, it is a huge thing, but tell me what it really is going to be useful for.
All right, so the whole idea that this is the God particle is just causing confusion.
Right.
I'll try to explain exactly what the Higgs particle means. I was saying that all particles have mass, and we wanted to understand where that mass comes from. The fact that we've observed the Higgs particle means that there truly is a Higgs field that fills the universe. At least I should say, the thing we have observed fits the description extremely well of what the Higgs particle should be. So we're saying that we have found it.
And that was based on how it reacted upon the collision. Is this correct?
How often it was produced and how it decayed when it was produced. The pattern of decays matches what we expected.
Okay.
And therefore we conclude there is a Higgs field, and that is the explanation of where mass comes from. That's the end of the explanation.
Does that mean, and I'm not clear on this, but does that mean that that's the explanation for how, when we really look at matter, it's empty space mostly, right? The atoms are empty space. Is that what makes things solid that are technically empty? Is that what, when we talk about mass?
In an atom, most of the mass is contained in the protons and neutrons.
Okay.
It's true, most of the atom is empty space. But we're explaining why the quarks inside the protons and neutrons have mass, and therefore why the protons and neutrons themselves have mass.
Okay. It's so fascinating. So what can we expect that we're going to, now that we've gained this knowledge, we're pretty sure we're right, where does that take us next?
So as far as particle physicists are concerned, we want to distinguish between different possible scenarios that have Higgs particles in them. The simplest model, which is called the standard model, has one type of Higgs particle, and this may be that one. On the other hand, it's possible that there are multiple types of Higgs particles, and we need to find the others still. We want to measure the properties of this one more precisely as we collect more data, and compare it to the expectation for the standard model version, and still look for other possible new particles, new Higgs bosons, or other types of matter particles.
Okay, and we've seen quarks as recently. When did that start, that we started seeing quarks? That wasn't too long ago, right?
In the 1960s, the idea of quarks was proposed mostly as a mathematical trick for explaining the particles that have been found so far. But then in the 70s, a new type of quark was discovered, which really confirmed that the quarks were a reality. And we've since found a total of 6 types of quarks.
Okay.
And we have some reason to believe there aren't going to be any more.
Okay. I want to take us back for 1 minute to a picture we saw just a minute ago of it looks like a collision, I think, if they can throw that one back up for us. Yeah, what is this right here that we're looking at?
So this is a computer reconstruction of one collision in the CMS detector. That's the experiment that I participate in.
Okay.
And the proton beams have come in from the ends of that cylinder and collided. One proton collided with one proton, unleashing up to 8 mosquitoes worth of energy, and a large number of other particles were produced in the collision. And the 2 green items there that are sticking out are a representation of 2 gamma rays that were detected. And the Higgs particle, this event could have been produced by a Higgs particle, which decayed into those 2 gamma rays.
Oh, really?
By studying the 2 gamma rays, measuring their directions and their energies, we could reconstruct what the mass of the original particle would have been, and we see a little excess of such events where the mass is a certain value, and that's the indication that there's a new kind of particle, because there's a an excess of such collisions where the mass was at a certain value.
How do you, this is kind of a weird question, but how do we put the particle into the accelerator? How do we grab a particle and stick it in there? I mean,
question.
it's kind of interesting.
The accelerator is running with protons, as I said, and protons are the nuclei of hydrogen atoms. So
Okay.
it all starts with a bottle of hydrogen gas, and some electric discharge is put through, I imagine, like in a neon sign in a store, and that gets the atoms of hydrogen torn apart, and the protons are then accelerated with electric fields and focused with magnetic fields. And there's a series of accelerators prior to entering the Large Hadron Collider.
Oh, really?
As they get to higher and higher energies. That's right. The first accelerator is called the linear accelerator. They use a synchrotron that was built more than 50 years ago as part of the
Wow.
accelerator chain. It's still working great, and eventually the protons are put into the Large Hadron Collider, where they're accelerated for the final stage up to their collision energy.
When we say this is ambitious, this whole project, we're not kidding. This was a very expensive, very ambitious project. How much money was put into this? Do you have any idea?
My recollection is that the accelerator and the detectors total about $10 billion.
Wow. Do you think it's worth it? Do you think we've discovered something that's going to be that beneficial?
I do, because, well, first of all, you have to realize this was spread over many years. It's
Right.
not a one-year, $10 billion hit. But some of the benefits are there are numerous students who are getting their training in physics, including American graduate students, who will go into other fields with the expertise that they gain from this. I could also point to the World Wide Web is an invention of particle physicists who are trying to find ways to exchange their information between their collaborators more effectively. So that
Right.
was kind of a productive
So
thing
it wasn't
that
the
came
vice
out.
president after all.
No. And other offshoots from particle physics research include things like medical imaging and radiation therapy for nuclear physics, for nuclear medicine, I mean.
Have you had some of the students from Utah Valley University go with you? Have they been able to experience this yet, or any of the graduates?
No, we haven't got any scheme in place to allow us to bring undergraduate students to UVU, and I'm only participating in the experiment under a special arrangement. Utah Valley University is not an official member of the CMS collaboration, but my colleagues at UC San Diego have sort of signed me up as a affiliated scientist to allow me to continue what I started when I was there for a year.
Well, you know, the students have got to be gratified by having someone with your knowledge and experience there to teach them. I know for me, this is a tremendous experience, just getting to spend a little time with you here. But to sit in a class and really break this down must be terrible. It's got to be exciting.
It was awesome before we discovered the Higgs particle, and now it really hasn't sunk in yet what this is going to mean. It's really a significant discovery. Really kind of clarifies really fundamental thing about the way the universe works.
I'm going to ask you a couple, I want to know what a scientist is like kind of questions, and then we're going to wrap it up here. But so do you have a pocket protector? Do you consider yourself nerdy at all?
No pocket
No.
protector, no.
No funny glasses back at the shop or anything?
No.
Okay, what's your typical, just curious, what's your favorite food?
I think I'm partial to Italian food. Nice
Okay.
eggplant parmesan would be good.
All right, and are you an Apple or a Mac or a PC guy?
I'm a PC guy.
Okay, interesting.
But almost all of my colleagues at CERN are Apple guys.
Is that right?
Yeah.
They're all Macs, okay. Well, terrific. Hey, I am so happy to have had you on the show.
Thank you so much.
Really neat to talk about this. Maybe when we come up with the next big thing there, I hope you can come back, because I'd love to
That'd
talk
be
about it
great.
some more. All right, well, we'll be back with more of the Mountain Morning Show in just a couple of minutes.